So I think that we can slowly start this webinar, and as people are joining in, they can, of course, tune in. So let me just first share my screen. I hope you can all see my screen. I would like to welcome everyone to this introductory presentation webinar of the Green Acceleration Programme. My name is Milos, and I will moderate today's event. Together with me, we have representatives from each of the partners. They will have an opportunity to share a bit more about themselves and their organizations, but I will just introduce them. From SmartUp, we have Sofia Bogeva as well. Then from KIC, we have Sanela. From the Science Technology Park in Nish, we have Natalia. And from Zoom, we have Jože. Thank you all for joining. And I will just go over briefly the agenda of today's event and what we'll be speaking about. So, as you know, this is an introduction to the Green Acceleration Programme. This is a service offering that we have jointly created as partners, as part of the Future Cities of Southeast Europe project, which is supported by Climate KIC, one of European Union's knowledge and innovation communities. The goal of this webinar is to present our service, but we also want to speak briefly on how we got there and why we created it. So we will start off by sharing some information about the Green Acceleration Programme and then the wider Future Cities of Southeast Europe project. Each of the partner cities will have an opportunity to speak briefly about their experiences in this project, the outcomes, what we've learned and what we've achieved. After which we will introduce the GAP program and speak a bit more on the different modules that make up the program, why we created them, how they work and what their goals are. Finally, we'll have a brief session where we can answer any audience questions and maybe share a bit more if you're interested, of course. Finally, we'll close with a couple of closing remarks and share how you can follow this project and the development of the GAP. So, as I said, a brief introduction to the Green Acceleration Programme, or GAP for short. The idea behind this program was that we were to synthesize all of the knowledge of the experiences that we've gathered throughout this project to offer something that is going to enable communities, cities, municipalities, and organizations to start a journey towards a green transformation, hence the Green Acceleration Programme name. The idea is that we would offer capacity building programs or capacity development programs, which can take the shape of lectures, workshops, co-creation events, as well as offer services to help implement a green, smart, and creative transformation. Now, the focus of this program is, as I've mentioned, on helping and supporting local communities, companies, and diverse organizations. In a bit, we'll speak more widely on the Green Acceleration Programme, explain how we got there, why we created it. But for now, I would like to invite Jože to give us a bit more information on the Future Cities of Southeast Europe project, as the program is, in a way, a continuation or a product of this project. So, Jože, please join us.
Milos, thank you for the word. As Milos introduced me, I will give you some brief information on Future Cities of Southeast Europe project. It started at the end of 2019. It is 3 years lasting project. It is finishing at the end of this December. And the origin of project is international organization of consultants and experts on climate changes in organization named EIT Climate KIC. They gathered around 5 cities Skopje, Krizevci, Maribor, Nish, and Sarajevo from these 5 states of former Yugoslavia. They also included in this project some design partners from West and North Europe, Bankers Without Boundaries, Material Economics, etc. And the content of this, our joint project was to, and the aim of this project was to improve quality urban life conditions, to solve some environmental problems in these 5 cities, to start the process of green transformation of these cities and as pilot cities for these 5 countries, and to start 1 or 2 pilot or lighthouse projects in each city, and to produce this product we are demonstrating you today. That means GreenAcceleration Programme. Let's go on. Milos, on the next slide, you can see the structure of organization of this project. This is international project. We were lucky to get quite a lot of knowledge in collaboration, not only with EIT Climate KIC, but also with these design partners and all these experts from different cities and countries, since we had quite a lot of web sessions with representatives from other cities, like, for instance, Madrid, Vienna, Milano, etc. So we got quite a lot of complex knowledge of very international, interdisciplinary oriented knowledge. We gain quite a lot of new contacts, so we spread our networks, expert networks, and of course it was very nice to get some seed money to start these green transition activities in our cities. Let's go on. What is interesting about collaboration between these 5 cities? Sarajevo was unfortunately with us only the first year, but for me personally, it was very nice to hear and to feel this diversity of knowledge, information, cultural backgrounds, mindset, etc., experiences. So I think we built quite a valuable amount of our common knowledge and skills then which we can give on to the clients of our GreenAcceleration Programme. And I will finish with the last slide about future cities projects, just to give you impression how the work in these cities was organized, and what was the same type of activities in each city. In each city we had core team, which was called YES team. Then we had governance group and wider network of advisors, allies, and other participating organizations, for instance, in Maribor University, and some public service enterprises, and of course the public. And involvement of citizens was quite important in this projects, and that's why we put quite a lot of efforts to put information about these projects also in mass media. Thank you. And now I will give a word and microphone to colleagues from our partner cities to give you impression of detailed information about these future cities projects, which was performed in these cities. Now I'll give a word to Sanela Mikolčić from Krizevci, and she will give you impression about their work in last 2 years.
Thank you, Jože. My name is Sanela, and I'm part of the team for Krizevci City. So Krizevci started this journey with Green Energy Cooperative, focused on citizens. And then through the first project year, we established KLIC as the local energy cooperative that should lead the local transformation needed. In collaboration with the city, we opened an energy and climate office, first of its kind in Croatia, a location where citizens may access information, guidance, and assistance in the implementation of energy efficiency and renewable energy sources projects, but also a place where you can come with your ideas on creating a better city and get help in the design and implementation. The local community was actively involved in the creation of public spaces, making budget proposals for the city, implementing projects that promote green and sustainable development, while the local government focused on the development of bigger renewable energy projects, green infrastructure, sustainable transportation, and encouraging citizens to implement renewable energy projects through subsidies. So the municipality is investing in research of geothermal potential and production of green hydrogen, designing models for utility scale solar power plant that should include also local community. It also researches and designs models for using renewables in sustainable transportation. But this all should help us to create a more sustainable and resilient local community. And Future Cities has helped us to make synergy and design a portfolio of actions. So for this project and our 3 years within it, we gained a lot of experience how to engage local community, how to create this trust between local stakeholders, and how we can all make this governance model for transformation to be successful. Thank you.
Thank you, Sanela, so much for sharing a bit more about your experience and the work you've done in Krizevci as part of this project. Now, I think next we have the team from Maribor. So, Joža, you're free to take over and share a bit more about your experiences.
Thank you. Since I am a coordinator of Yes Team Maribor, it's my duty to give you this brief information of our work during the last 3 years. We started with creating a work program for this period, and already in the beginning we produced a general development vision for our city, 1 page. I think it was nothing similar done in our cities before in last, let's say, few decades, as far as I know. Then we prepared some radical development propositions from some areas, for instance, for sustainable transport, for green infrastructure, for housing, also for circular economy. And out of list of 50 possible projects, we choose 3 lighthouse projects. We found that we can work effective on them, and one of these is illustrated with this photo on the right side of this slide. This is improving of smart solutions in business production or industrial zone in south part of Maribor. And this is also the lighthouse projects from which we gained information also for this GreenAcceleration Programme. The city apply on EU mission 100 climate neutral cities by 2030. Unfortunately, Maribor was not successful on this call. But anyway, I think the city will find some other ways to reach the goal of becoming climate neutral cities, maybe not till 2030, but maybe to, let's say, 2040 or 15. And we also started to create one GIS portal for managing green projects. Unfortunately, the work was stopped because the municipality decided to make their own such portal. And I would like just to express that we put quite a lot of time and energy to disseminate of our gained knowledge, and that's why we collaborated with some institutions in the region and in some other projects, for instance, tribute of projects which is dealing with urban mobility for vulnerable groups of society. Now I will give, as if you allow me, Milos, just to take for a while your role of moderator. The next is Natalia from Nish, and she will give you some information about their work on this project. Natalia.
Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Natalia Milicevic. I'm from STP Nish, Science Technology Park Nish. So Science Technology Park Nish is an organization which working closely with the university and the academic community provides the infrastructure and services to assist innovative companies in realizing business success on the market, and especially in the area of high technologies. The main actor, STP Nish, is the main actor of an innovative startup ecosystem that aims to make a Nish a city of advanced technologies, and the south and east region of the Republic of Serbia, a region with a strong and highly competitive economy based on knowledge and innovation. So the project Future Cities of Southeast Europe in 2022 was conducted by Science Technology Park Nish as a project partner in Serbia, and the city of Niš as a project beneficiary and local partner of STP Niš. In this year, STP Niš and City of Niš have been working on actions and solutions such as healthy environment, carbon-free mobility system, clean energy, water supplies, healthy and accessible public spaces, reducing pollution and climate change adaptation. Working with other partners from project, we come up with new ideas how to approach citizens and new and young innovators. The city of Niš have been working in 2022 as in previous years to create a program package of actions and innovations facing existing challenges and using its capabilities in as many of the key areas as possible in which rapid and quality urban change is needed. These are some of our goals, priority goals in 2022. Key activities from this project was, so I don't see here, but on the next slide, Green Startup School, oh yeah, the Green Squares, and developing an open data ecosystem. Green Startup School is our model for a Green Acceleration Program. Green Startup School is something that came as a hackathon from this project, but then we improved it with our internal capacities and developed a support program named the Green Startup School. It was aimed to make it one of the key services offered by STP Niš as part of the overall offer, which we are developing with the project partners, and as well as a service that STP Niš plan to implement in the coming period with the aim of developing innovations and startups, both green and clean. So the challenges, okay, next slide. Okay, so the challenges that teams were facing were innovative solutions for biodegradable waste, clean and healthy forms of public transport, and energy efficiency. The Green Startup School was made from 7 models. In these days, in first 5 days, they were teams were they were working with lectures, and on the 2 days they had mentoring programs. The 6th day was planned for the 24-hour hackathon, and 3 best ideas have they get the prizes by the jury. So I don't see the next slide here.
No, me neither. I think it's just this one.
Okay. The next slide should be made of photos from startup school. I'm very sorry, but that's all for me.
Maybe it's in the next part where we talk about the individual modules.
Sorry, Natalia. You will see these 2 slides later on.
Okay.
But when you will explain details about GAP in Nish.
Okay.
So thank you, Natalia, so much for sharing a bit more about the work that Nish has done in the past couple of years. And we can move on to the ES team Skopje, and I'll invite Sofia to join us and share a bit more about the work that this team has done in the past couple of years.
Thank you, Milos. Thank you. Hi all, nice to see such a big number of people joining for this event. So in regard to Skopje, as a team, we kind of started this work, as Jozer mentioned, 2019, and at that point, Smart Up Social Innovation Lab, that is a non-governmental organization working to boost the social innovation development and the ecosystem around it, was responsible for the City of Skopje Innovation Lab, which opened in 2017 in June. And somehow that work we did with the public sector, and especially City of Skopje, gave a good basis on how actually we can move forward and really become more of a transformative city, where we can implement try to experiment with different actions, different tools, different processes, and see how we can boost and accelerate this transition toward a more sustainable future, support the energy transition on the long run, ensure well-being of people, their participation, and so on. So it was very hard at start to kind of understand where are we going. We had the mission in place, as it was mentioned. There are so many big challenges we were trying to address, but actually, how do you start to do this? And then as a team, we decided that maybe the best way is to do hands-on work, trying to learn as you go forward in the process, and then discover actually what are the best ways, or what are the best processes, approaches, and methods to actually get there. So we went on several we focused on several different areas. On one side was like how we can play and support the capacity building within the local governments to actually become more aware into having this more long-term approach and a mission-oriented way of thinking in order to ensure long-term sustainability. And in that regard, we worked with different training models, supported the government team to learn new types of tools, how to work with data, and so on. So we do kind of improve the decision-making process, try to make it more transparent, more open, but also more informed why we are doing things that we are doing. And in that way, as we were moving forward, there was a need for more data, because the existing situation within the city of Skopje was not on its best. So we said, let's collect what is there, let's analyze. So we ended up doing different types of analyses, trying to discover where we are at the moment and how actually and where do we want to go next. So we moved with developing an economic case for decarbonization of Skopje, trying to kind of reflect on the big picture, where the city is going and where are we at the moment, and what is the gap that we need to overcome, and what are the barriers. And that gave us kind of a step forward and helped us understand that it's great to know where we are lacking, which are the areas we need to work, but like how to move these things forward. And from there, we moved on into trying to better understand what impact means for the city and how actually to engage the local government, but also the stakeholders, the citizens, the businesses, the academia, in a way that we can co-create things together and also better understand what are the opportunities, what are the projects that we need to move forward. So during this 1.5 years working with different stakeholders, we came up with an impact investment guide for local governments that really kind of showcase what impact means for a local government and how we can position the local government as an impact investor, but also understand what type of projects are very impactful and that we can support the city further build on and scale up. And usually these were the most complex projects that every government with a mandate of 4 years were trying to escape. So it was very much short-term looking on the development of the city. But when it comes to social innovation and designing projects with impact, especially in the area of energy development, well-being, prosperity, job creation, things were not really going in that way. So we helped the city in a very much collaborative way design an impact investment portfolio and that they can take it and move forward, either further develop the project, but also in the same time get better understanding where the barriers lie in achieving these ones. So there is a lot of work done around, as I said, capacity building, understanding the situation for decarbonization of the Skopje, building impact investment guides, impact investment portfolio, finding funding, how to move this project forward, because it's not easy to organize and further push for big and complex projects. So we did a lot of work into these 4 years, applying for projects, building partnerships, which some of them resulted in a very, very nice way. So we got one Horizon project, IPA project, Reconstruct, for addressing the management and the circular economy around construction and demolition waste in the city. We created a technology center or supporting technology center for digital application for citizen applying to the city, trying to build this digital literacy on a different level. We worked a lot on public spaces, service redesign, and this was all with the purpose to showcase what does it mean when you co-create with citizens, what does it mean when you co-create with different actors of the community, and how this builds commitment and builds ownership for the future. All this process somehow very nicely ended into an established foundation called Skopje Development Institute that was opened by the city of Skopje and the National University, Kirill and Methodius, last year in August. However, there is a transition in government coming in from end of the last year. So at the moment, the institute is on standby, considering the bit of changes of priorities. So there is a lot of lesson learned out there, what you need to do, what you don't need to do, how to engage your actors and your stakeholders, how to work with people on power that have the authority and the legitimacy to actually move things forward. And I think this was very crucial in helping us building our service from side for Skopje that's very much focused on designing impact investment portfolios and supporting municipalities and other institutions moving in this way forward. Milos, if you can go to the next slide. And here, just on short, there was like several other things we tried to touch and experiment with. This was very much work done around open data. There were several open data platforms we built. Part of the work supported by the Skopje Lab, City of Skopje Innovation Center, as part of the Climate KIC project, Future Cities. There is a lot of educational material developed in parallel, so we ensure that we don't just go and do stuff, but we actually bring the people on the same level of understanding why we are doing it and what is the way to move forward. And if you go on the next slide, Milos, there you can also see some of the pictures of the work we did in the previous time. So there is a lot of videos, educational materials, citizen surveys for the satisfaction of the work of the city. Several of the public spaces we redesigned, the digital platform for submission of electronic application on the different calls from the city of Skopje and so on. So all these lessons learned, all these kind of small experiments we tried to run really helped us get a better understanding of what actually is needed to move forward. And I think it really much equipped the team to start actually talking the language of our end users, of our customers. Either we talk about public sector, the governance and the process inside, either we talk about collaboration with companies and citizens. So yeah, that's our story from Skopje. Milos, thank you. You can take.
Thank you, Sophia, for sharing, and thank you all for sharing your experiences and the work you've done in the past couple of years as part of this project. I think hearing about all of our experiences, the work we've done, the challenges we faced, the obstacles we've overcome, puts us in a very good place to start explaining a bit more about the Green Acceleration Program, what it does, how it came to be, and what its goal is. So, what is the Green Acceleration Program? It is a service that consists of 4 distinct yet integrated services, each one developed by the partners in this project through, as Sophia mentioned, experiments, through trial and error, through a lot of citizen engagement. We've managed to kind of develop these 4 different services that aim to support the green transition. And in a bit, each of us will have the opportunity to explain their service a bit more in depth. What is really important here is that despite being separate services, all of these work together as well, as there are notable synergies between each module that kind of help support this process of green transition from beginning to end. The Green Acceleration Program is made up, as you can see, from an international team of not just training providers, but also service providers, because while each of the teams is responsible for their own part of the service, we all come together to implement this Green Acceleration Program. Now, it presents a flexible, modular, and customizable program. What does this mean? That each of these services is a base which we can then transform and adjust to the needs of a specific client. Something that we've learned over time is that, well, you can obviously have a process or a service that is planned to some level. All of these require a different approach depending on local context. So this is something that's quite important to us. We aim to understand where it is that we're working and then adjust the way that we're going to implement this project. And obviously, they offer an interdisciplinary approach. We all have quite different backgrounds. And as you can see, these services tackle different aspects of green transition. And we've aimed to create a program that is quite comprehensive, so that it covers all of the necessary bases. Now, how did this program actually come to be? Each of our speakers spoke about their mission, what they did in the cities, but I think it's quite important that we clearly state what the mission of this project was. And the mission was that we want to make our cities the best places to live, work, and visit within the next couple of years, obviously. So all of these activities were geared towards that, maybe coming from obviously different approaches. There was, as was mentioned, a lot of emphasis on learning by doing, experimenting and piloting a lot of different projects to try and learn as much as we can on how to successfully not just start, but also support and implement a process of green transition. And creating this program, this service, has helped us kind of create a synthesis of all of our different perspectives and bring them together into this one offering. Now, this service was obviously also created with the express idea and aim to ensure the sustainability of the project as well, and not just gather all of the knowledge and experience that we've come up with over these years, but also offer it to other municipalities, cities, organizations, and interested stakeholders. So to kind of summarize this, our idea was that we're going to take all of our experiences and what we've learned, package them in a couple of services that we have implemented locally, we have actually tested and we know support a green transition, and then offer them to other potential clients or partners so that we can ensure all that we've done actually continues happening and doesn't just stop with this project. Finally, I'd like to briefly say a couple of words on why it should be us. We're all witnesses that there are multiple training programs offered. There are different organizations similar to us who offer these types of services, who offer support to enable a green transition. So why should it be specifically us? Well, to start with, we have more than 20 years of experience in specifically this type of work, working with communities, with organizations, and with cities to help them enact the process of green transformation. We emphasize a lot, we put a lot of emphasis on the process, how it develops, making sure that we test it out, is the correct process for the context in which we're working. And we also put a lot of emphasis on learning. While we have created a large base of knowledge, clearly we know that there is still a lot to learn, and each new iteration is an opportunity to do that. We treat our obstacles as learning experiences. I think all of the speakers mentioned some obstacles that we've overcome. And for us, this is just a normal part of the process, not something to be deterred by, but rather something to absorb and work around. Over these couple of years, we've managed to, as I've mentioned, build quite a lot of knowledge, but also build a large expert network. Because we work in different countries, we all have our own local networks, but also during these years, we've managed to kind of expand them, interconnect them. So we have quite a robust support in conducting all of these programs. And finally, and I think this is maybe the most important point, is that we speak the language of our clients. So we've worked with local government, we've worked with cities, municipalities, communities, and we know how they operate, we understand how they function, and how to approach them when this type of work needs to happen. So this is just briefly on the Green Acceleration Programme. And if you have any questions, I highly encourage you to submit them in the Q&A portion, and we will be able to explain a bit more. But for now, I think that I've managed to kind of give you an idea of what the Green Acceleration Programme is, how it came to be, and why we think that we're the best people to offer it. So I'd like to now invite each of the partners to speak a bit more on the individual modules so that we can get a better idea of what it is exactly that this service offers. We'll go in the same order. So Sanela, if you would like to join and introduce the Krizevci module, civic engagement and financing tools towards an energy transition.
Thank you, Milos. So as I said before, we are focused on community engagement and have gained quite experience throughout the project. We designed a platform Studio Krizevci for participation of citizens in city budgeting. We implemented living suites concept. We have experience in crowdfunding and creating local collaborations within stakeholders. So our module is focused on enabling participation of the local community in the energy transformation pathway of the cities, towns, and settlements through collaboration, co-creation, and co-finance. This module supports the client in mapping stakeholders and their potential roles, develop projects and initiatives that could support an energy transition, and develop a transition governance model and civic investment model. I'm short.
Thank you, Sanela. Would you maybe like to just briefly explain how this part of the service would work and what this would look like once it begins implementation, just to give us a bit of an idea?
Oh, yeah. So it is designed as a workshops within the local community. where we can map stakeholders and then also to make these potential collaborations and to develop projects and initiatives that could support the transition. And then we also have one-on-one, how I say, advising on governance model, and also to design a civic investment model for projects that we develop through the workshops.
Thank you. And I think it's also important to mention here that you've already developed one financing tool and implemented it locally. So if you could just a couple of words on that as well, just so we have an illustration of what this would look like once we implement it.
Yeah, we do, in partnership with Green Energy Cooperative, we had a crowdfunding project, Krizevci solar roof, where citizens invested in public energy solar power plant. So they have, it's actually a loan that citizens are giving to Green Energy Cooperative, and then they are paid back with interest rate. We also have a model for CLIC as a local cooperative to invest in a new solar project in Krizevci, where citizens can invest directly in CLIC, and CLIC will buy solar power plants, and then they will earn money as incentives on revenue of CLIC. So it's a little bit easier model.
Perfect. Thank you. I think that was quite important to hear, just to get a better idea of what we mean by civic engagement and financing tools. So I think next we have the Maribor module, which is training for green startup transformation of industrial business zones and companies. Jože?
Thank you. As I said before, during the implementation of Future Cities projects, we were working also on lighthouse projects devoted to this business industrial zone in the south part of the city of Maribor. We were working on the topic of upgrading smart solutions, but during the communication with the leading body of this zone, institute, that it is a private institute, we found that they are interested for some other topics. And while studying literature and being part of some sessions on this topic, we found that when we are talking about green smart transformation of these business industrial zones, we are talking about these topics you can read here. That means integral spatial planning, integral environment management, and green infrastructure, water and waste management, energy efficiency, which is very connected to cost, especially in the current time, mobility and logistics, and of course economic benefits, which are the top priority of every company who would like to be successful on the market. Just few sentences about each of these topics. When we are talking about integral spatial planning, we mean how to integrate greenery, energy, waste, production systems, transport, etc. And we know that the problem of such industrial zones is that usually these companies who are operating there, they are dealing with only one problem and not seeing the complexity of all topics in these business zones. When we are talking about green infrastructure in these zones, we have to know that this is not only the question of design and cosmetics, let's say so, but also the question of ecological aspects of this green infrastructure and habitat corridors, etc. This is important, especially when we are talking about bigger zones. About water management, it is important that when we got rain water here, of course, we can use it for also for technology processes for production. And we have to know that maybe some company maybe doesn't use water in so dirty way, and their output water can be input water for some another company. This is called industrial synergies, and this is possibility that companies who collaborate in many ways in a zone can decrease their costs on different utility and other services, especially also when we are talking about logistics, because they can combine this service and use the same provider of logistics service, etc. Can you now show another slide, just to give you impression how our model should work or would work. It consists about of let's say 20 hours of program, starting with free introduction and presentation, where clients will be able to little see what can they expect out of this model. Then there will be paid presentations, lectures, workshops, and different modes of co-creative learning and education, and this depends also of needs of clients, of course. And the final part of this program is producing of a study which will bring a concept and basic possible measures how to perform a green transition in specific zone. And also there is another possibility, if one big company or a production zone decides to start a process of this green transformation, we can also offer them help and valuable information, practical information in another years, because this process, of course, can't be short. Thank you. And then the next, I will introduce the team from Nish. Natalia, now you will be able to add some more information about your speech from before. Thank you.
Yes, okay, thank you. So as I said, the Green Startup School is our module for GAP, and these are challenges that teams were facing on the hackathon. So the Green Startup School is a 7-day program, consists from 7 modules. 2 days were planned for working with mentors, and there is 1 hackathon for 24 hours. The school was for maximum 10 teams. So presentations and lectures were organized by local experts, the STP niche teams and team and members of STP niche as well, and were implemented in accordance with the program through 7 defined modules. On the 6th day was opening hackathon, and finally on 7th day was intended for pitching, presentation of idea, certificates and awards presentation and closing of the hackathon. The presentation of the solution pitch was held in front of expert jury, and best 3 teams were financially rewarded, and the winning team gets the opportunity to realize their idea prototype and to be additionally rewarded for it when it give us the prototype. So this is our first program. We just developed it. We finished it on Sunday. This is our first, and hopefully the plan is to keep it every year, have at least one. From this, not only citizens that will benefit, but also economy of the Nish and young people here in Nish that they can learn now that taking care of environment can also be a business. And yes, next slide is some of the pictures from last week. These are 10 teams that went through the school, some of our lectures, and the winning team was Pellety. They made, so the Pellety team's idea is production of pellets from the waste obtained during the processing of medical plants, which later serves no purpose and it's thrown away or stored and then takes up warehouse spaces. And that's the winning team.
Thank you, Natalia. Just to make sure that we're very clear, what we're offering here, and please jump in, is this concept of a startup school as a way to both engage startups and younger teams to produce novel and innovative ideas to kind of solve various challenges that we've identified, right?
Exactly.
Perfect. You want to, yeah, I think that kind of gives us a better idea of the goal of this.
Yeah.
So
thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing. And final is the Skopje module, impact investment portfolio development, and I'll be explaining this one. So just briefly, as an introduction by what we mean by impact investment or impact investing, it is basically investing either financial means or investment capital with the express goal to generate positive societal and environmental impact, as well as financial gain. So it is basically giving a bit more meaning to investment. Now, what we offer here is a service consisting of two parts. One is capacity development for creating an impact investment portfolio. This is a program that helps build capacities necessary to develop this type of portfolio. And it is something that would usually take a bit less time. The idea behind this is that through training modules and workshops, the client will be able to then take this knowledge and use it to develop their own impact investment portfolio. The second is actually supporting the development of an impact investment portfolio or developing an impact investment portfolio. And this part of the service is a multi-phase process that covers research, co-creation, and the development of the portfolio. And it results in an impact investment portfolio, as well as a tool for prioritizing projects according to the client's goals. Now, for a bit more context, an impact investment portfolio consists of multiple projects which are consistent with the goals of the client, and these goals are usually enacting a green transformation. The way developing this portfolio would work is, first, there is a very detailed analysis of the local context. Let's say we are developing this for a city, so there would need to be deep analysis of the city itself, the challenges, the needs, the various strategic documents and measures that are being implemented, as well as the mission, vision, and goals of the city towards the future. This gives the team a strong understanding of the specific needs and local context. Next would be capacity development of the employees in the city so that they are able to complement and actively contribute to the development of the portfolio, but also manage and implement it moving further. The next phase would then be co-creation, where not just the employees, but all relevant stakeholders are involved in a series of workshops centering around specific challenges that help us identify projects which are relevant to the goals of this client. Now, having created this let's say, huge pile of projects, a huge treasury of projects. They are then evaluated and structured into an impact investment portfolio. During this part of the process, we also customize a tool for prioritizing these projects according to the client's goals. This tool is an evaluation tool which assigns specific values across a host of parameters to each project to identify the ones that are the most pressing or the most relevant for implementation. What the client gets at the end is, as I've mentioned, an impact investment portfolio, which clearly gives them a roadmap towards enabling, enacting, and continuously implementing green transformation. Now, Sophie, if you would also like to add on this part, since you're with us, please feel free.
No, I think, Milos, you covered quite nicely. So the whole idea is to actually challenge a little bit the mindset of the organization, regardless we are talking about communities or public sector organization or companies in general, why we need to move from a cost-based way of thinking and designing projects to more of an impact, designing and implementing impact investment projects, really much understanding the need to kind of co-create together with our end users, not just to ensure that the project or the action is relevant to the problem we are trying to solve, but also to ensure there is a commitment and ownership from the sides of the included partners. At the end, impact investments are very much long-term oriented. They really address some of the key challenges that each of the cities are facing with, from energy transition to water management to ensuring well-being, digitalization, and so on. And it's a role of different partners to actually take part into the implementation. So it's not a sole actor doing this. And that's why it's very much important to ensure that we have a process in place that it's very much inclusive, very much participatory, and that will enable us to actually really move forward towards a more sustainable future. And that's why impact investment portfolios are very important, because from one side, it gives a very clear perspective to all potential donors in the future that would like to work with cities, what are actually the vision and the mission of the city, where are the goals and where they're moving forward. But also it gives another perspective, which is about the impact that is made, not only in the users or the problem, but also in all the different aspects in how this specific project can help people. If we talk about reconstruction of parks, how that impacts the people, how that reduces the cost, how that reduces the timing, but also affects the overall environment we are living in. And then how this project relates to the SDGs. So we are also being able to kind of present what is the ESG contribution we are making overall as a city to become more sustainable. So I don't have much to add. It's just that it's I think it's very important process that each city, especially cities, should need to move forward if they really want to become more inclusive and more participatory, and really much ensure proper and long-term impacts. Because short-term projects are great, but are they really making a difference for people's lives? So thinking long-term, thinking more complex, and in a way of like every actor in the system is contributing to a shared purpose, is what actually makes this service, I think, or should make this service more attractive for whoever there is interested to do a change.
Thanks, Sophie. So I hope that after each of us has presented their services, it is more clear how they approach green transformation from different angles and how they all aim to support it. And I hope that we've made the synergies between all of these clear, that the program offers something that's quite holistic and that can support and enable a process of transition from various perspectives. So we've come to the Q&A portion of the session. So if anyone from the audience has any questions, please feel free to share them either in the Q&A portion or in the chat, and we'd be happy to share a bit more information. we'll give you a minute or two to type out your questions if you have them.
Well, I've got a question for the audience.
Yeah, why not?
Well,
I mean, it's the interaction part of
yes,
the webinar, so go ahead.
well, thank you. Well, we know that similar programs which are related to green transformation are already performed by different organizations, especially some private oriented organizations. For instance, 2 weeks ago, there was similar webinar about energy topic of this green transition, especially about question how to reduce use of energy and reduce costs for its use. And I would like the audience, ask the audience if you find maybe something new in this program which we prepared and which we will perform in next 3 years. It is planned that we will work on this Green Acceleration Program till 2025 about. But it depends, of course, of feedback from different local communities, organizations, enterprises, and so on. So if you're anybody of the audience, if you maybe know some similar program, or maybe you even were a participant of such similar program, maybe you can share your thoughts about these differences about our approach and the approach of organizers of similar programs you attended.
Thank you, Jože. And I will just remind the audience that you can use the Q&A portion as well as the chat, which is now open, to answer your question.
I guess we were very clear with the service, so there is no question. I would just maybe ask the team when the service is getting in function. Is it January 2023? And what is the way of people actually getting to us? So the main channel for communication, and maybe where this service is going to be presented. If Milos, you can address these two questions.
Absolutely, and thank you for the question. The service will be, as we're planning, active from 2023. As a follow-up to this webinar, we will share a bit more details on where you can actually access these modules and learn a bit more. They will be hosted on each of the partners' websites, and there we will also share contact information on how to get involved, because the service is, as we've mentioned, depends quite a lot on the context, the size of the partner. It is best to get in touch and plan out how this would work for any potential client. But the information will be shared, as I've mentioned, as a follow-up email to this webinar, as well as on the various communication channels of each of the partners. And the service will be available through our websites. And I think I covered all aspects of the question.
Thank you, Milos.
Milos, sorry, Sofia. Now in chat, I will put this our websites, and there you will find information about this training program very soon. So please, all the ones who are interested, you will be able to copy this from chat.
Thank you, Jože.
And maybe my last words will be just, I know that maybe this looked a little bit complex at start. It's not as complex as it seems. It's very, let's say, easy to understand modules, very much user-centered services. So I would encourage everyone who is interested, even just to learn a little bit more what exactly and how we are doing and how we plan to implement this. Feel free to get in touch with us. We can always provide consultancy advices, free services to kind of get you more, get a better understanding of it, and of course support you in the process to get further commitment from your management, either you're in a government or under organization and so on. And thank you all for being here today.
And
that's
just
from my side. Milos, you can.
Thank you, Sophia. Just a final note to answer Joža's question on, I think the question was towards the audience, what makes us different to all the other programs that exist in services that support the green transformation. Was that correct, Joža? I think that I also
it was correct, yes, you're right.
I also covered this, I think, in the introduction of the GreenAcceleration Programme, so I'd like to reiterate it once more, that apart from all of our experience in working with local government, in experimenting, piloting, learning, building knowledge, sharing it, building networks, what kind of I highlighted then, and I think feel free to obviously add on, is that we understand how these processes work in the context of public sector, in the context of local government. We, in a way, speak the language, we understand the challenges, so we're able to actively accommodate these, work around them, and integrate them in the process. And I think that is maybe one of our strengths. And the other is that all of the team is very committed to citizen engagement and participation, which is necessary and inevitable if we actually want to enact a meaningful process of green transformation. I hope that answered the question, Joža. And
sorry. Thank you, Milos, but I would like to emphasize that as I understand this broad topic, it is not only about green transformation, it is also about smart, creative, not only digital, also social transformation. It is very overall and comprehensive transformation. It is a question of how our tomorrow will be shaped. It is also the question of how we will solve the existing environmental problems in our towns, which are some of them are very long term from the past. 30-40 years ago, for instance, in Maribor, we had a problem, and I think it is not still solved to the end. The rest material of heavy oils and etc. Which are coming from factories. This is still a problem here, and also there is a problem how to treat the waste, because some waste is exported in other countries, also from Maribor, not only from Slovenia, and these are problems which should be solved anyway, if there is a climate problem or not.
Absolutely. Thank you for the addition, Joža. And we have two questions. Maybe let's start with the shorter one from Pamela Petrovska. How can we contribute as individuals to the projects in our city? I think the best way to contribute at the moment is to get in touch with the partner from whatever city you're located in, and see how you can get involved in the work that they're doing specifically. Each of the cities, each of the partners has their own types of activities, their own plans. So I think it's best to directly contact them. And Joža, I think you mentioned you will share the websites in the chat. So please access those, find the contact information from the partners, and we are always more than happy to hear from anyone who is interested in joining this work.
And Milos, I would like to add on the question, or actually to the answer to Pamela. Aside of getting in touch with the organization, another way of how to contribute into scaling this work further is to actually talk about it, share your knowledge, share your learnings from all these events you're participating, share the results about what has been done, question institution, question organizations, why certain things are not moving forward, or how certain things can be done in a better way. So aside of getting directly involved, another, I think, great role that individuals can have in our communities is to ask more questions, to very much be like not just critically but constructively critically oriented towards all of the organization, so we ensure that we continue what is worth it to be continued, and not just start all over again and again with every change of a government or every change with a person or people in specific roles they're taking. And I really would like to answer on the other question we have in the chat from Tim.
Would you like to read it out?
Yeah, if you reflect back to the original mission for the project, to what degree do you feel your communities are on track to become the best possible places to live, work, and visit? What would you wish for to have made even more progress? I think that we're there. Are we yet on the track? I'm not very sure. There's been a lot of going forward and backwards in these 4 years. There's been a lot of challenges when it comes to involving public institutions in really pushing forward for the changes we need. I think that what I will do differently next time, or maybe would have helped us, is to really get these champions from the different organizations speak more, be more supportive, more committed, be a role model, and really kind of spread out the vision and the mission. I think what we lack is leaders with vision, a vision that is very much loudly communicated to all levels of the society, because it's good to have kind of a written document and a strategy within the organization, but if that vision and what is in the strategy is not clearly communicated out there to the people, it's very hard to get them committed, get them engaged in all the processes of the work we are doing. So we need to do a lot of more work to be on track, or at least get to where some of the most developed communities in Europe are at this point. I think we lack a growth mindset, a willingness to collaborate, and a willingness to question. When we start doing that, I think there'll be a more visible change and actions that will happen. I don't know, maybe other partners want to add something.
Jože, I see you raising your hand, so please go ahead.
Thank you, Tim, for this question. Of course, this is the topic which all of us, of course, from city teams were thinking about at the end of this 3 years lasting project. Well, I believe that our experience from town to town are different. And we know that some of these 4 or 5 cities were working harder on this topic and some not. In some cities, there were collaboration on higher level than in other, and especially participation of big players in the cities was different from town to town. I would say that about Maribor, that I believe that yes, Team Maribor, who was leading this mission or project in last few years, we made, I think, a little shift in mind of leaders of the city. At least they found also from our side that this topic is very important. Well, I would of course like that their impression would be more bigger than it was. But anyway, I think there was some impact not only on leaders of the city, but also on the general public and citizens. we succeed to reach some institutions. We didn't collaborate with them before. And especially, I think the best result is that we established one organizational model, and we established some connections, let's say between 8 to 10 institutions in the city. I think this is a good base for collaboration onwards. And on the last working meeting of EIT in Maribor last week, we said that we all of 10 participants of that working meeting, we agreed that such work, mission work, should be continued during next years. And especially the question of the main coordinator is here crucial. And we agreed that this coordinator should be or project office of the city of Maribor, or regional agency, or some body of university, or public holding of public service enterprises. So we think one of these 4 institutions should take the leading of this mission, and if it will happen, I think we have good possibilities to get to reach good results in this process. Thank you.
Thank you, Jože. Would anyone else like to give a short answer to Tim's question? Okay, well, Tim and Pamela, thank you for your questions a lot. Since I don't see any other questions coming in, I think that we can shortly wrap up this webinar. So thank you all for following along, for participating. I hope that you found it informative, interesting, and that you will feel free to reach out if you're interested in collaborating on this program further. If anybody of the partners would like to say a couple of words at the end, please feel free. And if not, once again, thank you for participating, and have a lovely rest of the day. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Goodbye, everybody.
Thank